Hey guys, I don't know if you're going to see this video this week or next week. I'm waiting to see if FedEx is going to bring my Stella and Dot jewels. It isn't launching until next Tuesday, but I thought I would do that today, but they're not here yet. So we're going to talk money and budgeting. I asked if this was a video that you guys would want to see on Instagram a while back, and I got a lot of great feedback and a lot of, yes, please talk about it. I need to preface this video by telling you I am not an expert. I'm not a financial advisor. I didn't go to school for this. I don't claim to know more than just what I know, what's worked for me. Being an influencer, obviously, I think the assumption is that I just spend, and don't save a dime and just buy this so easily and don't have to save for anything. I think that's the assumption a lot of people have, but I think 99% of you would probably be shocked to know that I actually save way more than I spend. I've always been a saver, and I think it was just how I was raised. And I've shared this how I was raised and my philosophy and just like little tips and tricks here and there on Instagram. And I think for me, because it's just always been how I've managed my money and always the way I was taught, and how even like into marriage, I've kind of stayed in that mindset. To me, it's like second nature and it's easy for me. But I always find it interesting because when I start to share this kind of thing, I realize very quickly that this does not come easy for a lot of people. It's not natural, and some people truly don't know like what to do. So I just want to share what I've done from day one in living at home with my parents with very little expenses, but was still working, to now having, we're a dual income household. We have 4 kids, and I like the finer things in life. We like the finer things in life. We like to take vacations. We like to treat ourselves. We like to treat our kids. And we always want to just live comfortably. For starters, I think it was burned in my brain the minute I got my first job at 15 or 16. I've always been taught to be a saver. Save for a rainy day. Save for an emergency. You never know. Always have like a little saving, a little play money, because you just never know. Granted, when I was younger, growing up, I was living with my parents. My parents took care of most of the bills. I think I had a phone in my room at one point, like a landline, that my parents made me pay for. And then when I got my first cell phone, I had to pay for that. When I got my first car, I bought my own car. My parents like put the money out, but then I paid back my parents. Back then, I think my car cost like $3,000. So they paid for it. And then instead of having a car payment, I owed them, and I paid them monthly for my car insurance, for my gas. My parents, even though they probably could have paid for a lot more for my brothers and I and took care of everything for us, they never ever did. I think to this day, whether my parents were bajillionaires or humble beginnings, which they both came from, and how we grew up, we were always responsible for paying for the things that we wanted, and they've always instilled in us great values. Just work hard, play hard. Like, if you want something, save up. Like, they never handed us things. They never made things easy for us. Did we like to take vacations? Yes, of course. Our holidays were nice, but when it came time to, saving for things, whether it was my first handbag or hanging out with my friends, I was never this. Like, I never put my hand out and expected anything from them. I learned very early that if I wanted something, it was up to me to figure out a way to get it. I've always been a little bit of an entrepreneur spirit, I think. I always did the lemonade stands when I was younger, and I made friendship bracelets and painted seashells, and I was always trying to hustle in some form or another. Proud of where I came from and where I'm at now, and we have continued to instill those same values in Louis. When he got his first job last year and wanted to buy a car, it was like, go get a job, Moving into adulthood, and I think just having like a dual income or a household, we joined all of our money, and I've always kept that same mindset. And I think one of the things that always helped me, my parents taught me, and I know my grandfather taught my mom this, and then she kind of passed it down. Whenever we would bring home our paycheck, my parents would tell us, you split it into 3s. A third goes into the savings for a rainy day. A third is for whatever you want. Hang out with your friends, blow it at the mall. And then the other third was to take care of our bills, responsibility, our car payment or whatever. And so I had to budget and learn to budget very early on. And I knew that if I had a car payment due and I didn't work enough that week, I might have had to sacrifice the fun money. I never ever sacrificed the savings. That was always a given. So it had to come from the fun money. And so that has always stuck with me. Granted, there's a lot of fluidity with that now. We're not taking our paychecks and splitting them into thirds, but I will tell you that we are saving more of our paychecks than we are actually spending. And I think that is just, like I said, just second nature. And the other great tip that my parents taught me early on, when they took me to open up my first bank account, got my little debit card. We did the same thing with Louis. I got paid every 2 weeks or every week or whatever it was. And they always taught me to when I would get my next paycheck, if I had money left in my account, whether it was from like bills that, my bill money, my responsibilities, if I had money left there, or I had money left in my play money, my spending money that I wasn't using, and then I got a new paycheck, that money went into my savings. So I was constantly, even though money was coming in and I was putting into savings, I was constantly moving stuff over to savings. And to this day, when Dan and I get paid, if there is still money left in our account from, the prior 2 weeks when we got paid the last time, whether we didn't have a bill that week, or, we didn't have to pay for, I don't know, whatever it is. If we have money left over, I move that over into our savings and we start fresh. So I think that was always a good mindset. I do the bills in our house. I handle all of our finances. Dan wants nothing to do with it. And I actually love it. I love managing money. I just love, I hate math. I was never good at math, but just like the organization and like the moving of the money and just seeing the savings accrue and seeing that we don't carry a credit card debt is something very satisfying to me. I don't know. The other thing that I think is a great tip, and some of you are gonna roll your eyes and think I'm crazy, is as much as I'm an electronics girl and very into technology and grateful, I am a pen to paper kind of gal when it comes to banking and bills. Most of my bills we do pay online, but I'm talking about like day-to-day paying our bills. If I have to write a check for something, or I go and spend $5 at Starbucks, I still keep a ledger. I still keep one of those little registers that comes with your checks, and I write down every single transaction. I try to do this at the end of the week, Sunday nights usually. Sit down, I pull up my online banking, and I fill in my transactions. And it's tedious and it takes a little bit of time. If you keep up with it, it's really not bad. There's some weeks where I fall behind, but I always make sure to do it right before a vacation, right before a trip. So I feel like my mind is clear. I know where we're at. I know what we have. I know what we can spend. Anytime before taxes, or if I want to spend money and buy myself a handbag, or, we have a big expense coming up. We're doing our patio outside. I always make sure. And that way I can always see where we're at, what we have, maybe what's coming in and what has to go out. And for me, because we have multiple accounts and we have multiple streams of an income, for me, I need to see what's coming in and going, and it keeps me on track. And it also is it's almost like people that keep food journals, when they're trying to lose weight. There's something to be said about writing down what you're eating and seeing holy hell, I went overboard yesterday. It's kind of the same thing. We spent how much at Starbucks last week? Or we only saved this much this month. It's very eye-opening. So I recommend that. I swear by it. I know some people don't, but I also feel like it keeps you accountable. And it's very easy. That debit card, that little piece of plastic, credit card, whatever, it's very easy to just swipe and Apple Pay. It's very easy. But when you sit down every week and do your banking, and I can still to this day have such vivid memories of walking into the living room where our desk was growing up, and my mom would be doing the same thing. Oh, I'm doing the banking. I never really understood what that meant, but I'm totally my mom. It's totally become me. My kids know, don't bother mom when she's doing the banking. And it just puts things into perspective. Keeps you on track. And also, it's because I feel like if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't know if I had money left over from the week before that I could put into savings. I also know for me, sometimes, a lot of times when we get paid, say it's a collaboration I'm doing or something that wasn't factored into our budget, and I want to just move that into our savings account. If I'm just constantly swiping and using my card, I'm gonna forget to move that money over, and I'm probably gonna blow through it, and then it's that money's gone. So I recommend that. I have had great success with it. The other thing that my mom taught me at a very young age was just because, and I have to drill this to my husband sometimes because he is very like all or nothing when it comes to stuff. And I'm like that in certain regards of life. But when it comes to money, he is like, what's the point of saving $10 if it's only $10? Where I'm more of the mindset of like that $10 here, $10 there will add up quick. So for me, I learned this at a very young age. My parents had at the bank that they let me open an account at, they had this thing called a vacation club. And essentially they would just put money into this vacation club. They had a vacation club and they had a Christmas club. And every week they would deposit money into their vacation club and into their Christmas club. And then at the end of the 10 months, or maybe it was a year, whatever the running cycle was, the bank would just give them a check of everything. It was their money. It was everything that they were saving. And you almost forget about it and it becomes routine. And that's how we were able to take vacations every year. And that's how my parents had money to buy us Christmas gifts. And so early on, when I had a job and became responsible and old enough to start contributing and buying Christmas gifts for, say, my brothers or my parents, or even like if I wanted to save up for a handbag, I kind of took on that same mentality. And back then, you know, it was $5 a week or $10 a week or whatever I could spare out of my spending money. I would put that aside and I would give it to my mom and she would like deposit it. And then you kind of forget what's happening. And then come, you know, November, right before Christmas, my mom would be like, here's your, you know, a couple $100 for you to spend on Christmas gifts or go buy that wallet you wanted to buy or whatever. So I think again that, I mean, you could like be tedious about it and think, but like also think big picture. Just because you can't put $1,000 in your savings account right now, put whatever you can. Whatever you can, because it will add up very quickly. If you think about it right now, assuming we're all adults here, we all are, you know, at different incomes and stages in life. I think for the most part, we could spare a week. We were probably spending that at Starbucks, let's be honest. After 52 weeks, you're saving $520 a year to just do whatever with, to skip a Starbucks. You increase that, say you're able to put aside $100 a week. $100 a week times 52, that is $5,200 at the end of the year. To have $5,200 to do whatever, take a vacation, buy a handbag, whatever, just by putting $100 a week aside. And again, if you're, you're out drinking or you're doing Starbucks, like you can swing putting $50 or $100 into the bank or aside. Or what I used to do too sometimes was my mom would have an envelope in her desk and I would just hand her like $5 or $10 and she would just stuff it in the envelope. And you could do that too, like just put it under the mattress or do whatever, like out of sight, out of mind. And the one thing too that was always like burned in my brain was once you put it into savings, you don't take it out. It's not like we tell Louis this now, it's not like you don't factor that in when you look at your bank account. You don't say, oh, I have this much in, but I have, 500 in my savings. No, that is out of sight, out of mind, because at some point you're going to need new tires or you're going to have something on your car break or you're going to want to, buy your girlfriend something and you have that little fun money or that rainy day money or the roof's going to leak, lose some kind of income or whatever the case may be. You have a nest egg built. You always are planning for that. You always can rest assured that you have some kind of kitty fund set aside. A lot of people when I talk about money ask if I follow Dave Ramsey, and I've never followed him. I am somewhat familiar of his theories, and I know a lot of people have had great success with following him and taking his advice. I just never did because I feel like I've always been pretty good about money, but I know a lot of people have come out of debt with his help and paid off student loans and things like that. I know one of his principles is I think he says you should always have 3 months of mortgage in your emergency fund. I think, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something like that. Like in your brain, always have, I think it's at least 3 months of your mortgage. And for God forbid. And so that is like the biggest takeaway I can say is if you are doing your diligence to save money, like do not touch that. Don't put more in your savings than you can afford that week to where you're having to like take out. I know for me, we have Bank of America and you can only take out, I think 6 withdrawals on my savings a month, like a running statement before they penalize you, which is fine because the only time we're pulling out savings is for like a house project or something like of that nature. So save, 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 keep saving. And I think another huge part of money in general, which I feel like is such a common sense, easy concept, but again, something that doesn't come so easy, is not spend beyond your means. Like, it's a very simple concept. If you're only making $100, you can't be going to a $200 dinner that night, you know, like stay within your means, stay below your means if you can, and you're always going to come out on top. We have one credit card. We both have the same card, and we really use it a lot, but we use it a lot because we accrue rewards. It's the Bank of America cash rewards. And I think Dan has a credit card for work, like for his expenses, and I have another card for my thing, but together for our house, our expenses, our kids, we have one credit card when we go on vacation. And again, like, we do not keep a running balance. We pay it off at the end of the month. There's no interest accrued most of the time because I have Bank of America through my banking, through my checking. Most of the time I'm just like pumping gas, you know, like what the frig is gas nowadays? I don't even know, like $75 the last time I was there. I get in my car and I move the $75 over to pay for the gas. It's less of a step for me to do on Sunday night when I sit down and do the banking, and it also like gives me the points on my credit card, but I'm not keeping a balance. Try to give yourself that 30 days, whatever your bank statement is, try to give yourself that 30 days where you can continuously pay off your credit card. Now, I'm not talking about your back patio or a big project or a vacation that you need to charge, but for the little things, if you're going to Starbucks, like, don't be using a credit card for that. You know, that accrues interest. And if you are, boom, move the money over. It drives me nuts sometimes because I'll be doing the banking and I'm like, Dan, what was $1.23 at Wawa? And he's like, oh, I forgot my card in the car, my debit card. So he like charged $1.23, and I'm like, oh my God. Because I get like super detailed and that drives me crazy. I know there's a lot of other people too that like they see their credit card balance and they'll just, okay, transfer $500. But for me, like, I want to know what that $500 was, and I want to keep on top of it. It is very like anal, I hate to say, but like it's just how I'm wired. I don't know how to be any other way. And I think it works out for us because we are big time savers. We don't carry debt, and I feel like manage our money pretty well. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Like the little vacation club idea, I think that's huge, a huge takeaway for you guys just to start. If being a saver is not really a thing or hasn't been a thing, start with that, because I can't stress it enough how just like $10 a week could really change things for you at the end of the year. They're great values and tips and advice for you to pass down to your kids if they're starting to go work and get real jobs. For me, it's important. It's a very important value that I was raised on, that we are raising our kids on. You want to play hard, you better work hard. Nothing is handed to you in life. Nobody's going to be happy running themselves into the ground, into debt. I think that's all I wanted to share as far as like banking, budgeting, day-to-day. I know there's a lot of different apps that you can use where you put your expenses in and like it can spit out a number of like what you're spending and saving and percentages and all of that. But for me, I just use common sense, and as long as we're saving more than we're spending, and again, I know everybody's situation is different and everybody's in different seasons of life, and times are crazy right now. So obviously, like, do what you can, and maybe there's going to be some months or years where you're not saving more than you're spending, and maybe you have to spend to do whatever you need to do, but try to save a little bit, even if it's $5, even if it's $10. Just keep in your mind to just always be saving whatever you can do. Skip that Starbucks coffee and put it into the bank or whatever it is. I think that really, really helps. And it also makes you appreciate things more, you know, makes you appreciate your vacations that you work so hard to be able to afford, and, you know, makes you appreciate your handbag that you've worked so hard. I'll never forget my first Balenciaga black cherry handbag. Still have it. Will have it forever. That was such a proud moment for me because it was like my first job, and I finally had saved up enough money, and it's just a very proud feeling that doesn't get old even into your adulthood. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you guys have further questions, things I didn't answer or didn't you know, things you had questions about that I didn't get to answer, leave them in the comments and maybe we could do like a follow-up, or I could do like a FAQ on Instagram about it. But I love talking about this stuff. I think that's very clear. Very passionate about it because I feel like I'm pretty good at it. So thank you guys for being here and watching this, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.